serving in the New Jersey State Assembly 25th Legislative District, and over the past 40 years, the cost of educating a child through the 12th grade tripled. During that same period of time, public school student performance essentially remains flat. In New Jersey, we pay the highest property taxes in the nation, the lion's share of which goes to schools. Meanwhile, parents, often of extremely limited means, struggle valiantly to pay their tuition for private education, to permit their children to escape the violence and hopelessness prevalent in all too many public schools. In short, we spend at a record pace while public schools continue to fail our kids, and our poor kids worst of all. But powerful special interests staunchly oppose any attempt to provide these children with meaningful opportunity. You know anything about that, Jack? It takes true courage to stand up to these special interests. One need look no further than the results of this late assembly election to see what happens to people who dare cross swords with these powerful special interests. Senator Bucco, my original running mate, and Assemblyman Bucco, my present running mate, those are the Bucci for Latin scholars, understand that this fight is a fight worth having. Leave aside exploding costs and static test scores. Parents possess no more fundamental right than to guide their children's education. Both of these men sponsor legislation which would do more for freedom and achievement than any proposals made during the 20 long years I have had the privilege of serving in the legislature. Every great civil rights movement needs pioneering leaders, and I have the honor of serving with two of the best. Today, we present two of these leaders with some modest recognition of their courageous service to the cause of liberty. Tony's going to accept on behalf of his father. Permit me to read part of this resolution. It says, "In God we trust. This heroic legislator award is proudly presented to Assemblyman Anthony M. Bucco, Deputy Republican Leader, for his courage and leadership in sponsoring the first universal school choice bill in all of the United States of America." That's an applause line. Presented at the annual 6th celebration of National School Choice Week, and I offer it to our respected guest to present the gift to Assemblyman Bucco and on behalf of his father.
Baby.
Turn around.
I should have had Michael write me a speech. That was pretty good, Michael.
I can do it for a small.
First, let me say that my father sends his apologies for not being here. My mom was taken to the hospital on Saturday with a slight case of pneumonia. The good news is she's doing much better, but my dad is at the hospital with her this morning and sends his apologies, but is very happy that to be joining me in sponsoring this legislation both in the Senate and the Assembly. When I went into the Assembly, I met Israel. The ink wasn't even dry on the oath that I had signed, and Israel came and put his arm around me and said, "Can we talk?" And I think you all know I don't have to tell you on just what a strong advocate Israel is for school choice. And he's a tireless advocate. And he came to me and we spoke about sponsoring legislation to make school choice universally accepted here in New Jersey. And I looked at it, I analyzed the situation, and to me, it seemed pretty simple. It didn't seem like it was that big a deal to me. I'm a brand new legislator. I was like, this makes a lot of sense. And we put the legislation together over the course of a number of months through trial and error, second drafts and redrafts, and we finally filed it. And Israel then came back to me and said, "Do you realize you're the first legislator not only in New Jersey but in the country to put forth this type of legislation?" And it was from that point that we hit the ground running to try to make this a reality in New Jersey. And we do so because, as Michael said, there's no more fundamental right for a parent than to be able to guide their child's education. And there's no greater gift that we can give our children than a good education. And we all know that in many districts in New Jersey, that's just not happening. But the other side of this also has to deal with something that's been the topic today of every person here that spoke. And that is, everybody here has said New Jersey's got a problem. Financial problem. Spending. Taxes. just think of the fundamental change that school choice would bring to school funding here in New Jersey. When you could educate a child at half the cost that we're doing today. We've seen it. We've seen the numbers in Asbury Park. You know, we know that we're throwing money away. Just think of the amount of money that could be saved if this legislation could move forward. So that's why we do it. We do it for the kids, and we do it for our state. Because everybody here is here for a reason. We all want New Jersey to be a better place, to live, to educate our kids, to work, and retire at some point in time. So I'm honored to accept both of these on behalf of my father and myself. We'll continue to fight. We'll continue to do the right thing, because that's what you elect us to do. And as long as we keep our eye on the ball, we'll continue to move forward. But make no mistake, we can put all kinds of tax plans together. We can put in school choice legislation. We can put in pension and health benefit reforms until they run out of ink at the State House. But unless we change the makeup of the legislature, it is going to be a continuing uphill battle. So, you know, a lot of times legislators come to events like this and we preach. And they say, well, you know, you're preaching to the choir. Well, you're right. We do preach to the choir because we want everybody to go out and sing. We need people to go out and get their friends and neighbors and their organizations to come out strongly against the pension constitutional amendment. We need contributions. Can't run these campaigns just on what we can do ourselves, because our opponents aren't doing it. So please, this is a critical time in New Jersey. We're at a tipping point. And if we work it, I think we can change the direction. Because I think people are fed up. I think people are disgusted. We just got to give them the path. So, thank you. I appreciate it. And Israel, thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to say I had a great privilege to be Friday where the head of the Senate was sitting together, Senate leader, Senate Republican leader, Tom Kean, I'm learning on the job, is sitting together with a leading Democrat for school choice. And I asked him right here before whether he would co-sponsor with a leading Democrat conference. We were snowed out last Sunday, so we're going to have something, a conference with everybody together, Republicans and Democrats, sitting in harmony and discussing this issue. Will definitely solve it, but we need your help to get it together. So I'm going to give out this form so we could figure out what's the best time to do it. I have 3 questions here. Whether it's a weekday, would be one weekday from 9 to 12 in the morning. Does that work best for everybody? Whoever wants to participate, if you put your name and contact information. A weekday between 6 and 9 p.m. in the evening after work, or a Sunday from 6 to 9 in the afternoon. And David had a few words to say. David is from CORE. He represents CORE in New Jersey. He's in touch with Nigel Innes, who's the national leader and praises his work over the last decades. David, thank you for coming and making this presentation. Tell the people all about it.
Good morning, brothers and sisters, my fellow Americans. My name is David White, as my good friend Rabbi Israel just mentioned, and he's right. I am the New Jersey representative for CORE, Congress of Racial Equality. CORE is one of the leading civil rights organizations in this country. Way back when America was at its worst, and believe me, unfortunately, she was at her worst back then. CORE, along with the NAACP and the Urban League and SNCC the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and civil rights leaders and groups across the nation came together to put together the greatest civil rights revolution known to mankind. We were blacks and whites and Hispanics and Jews and Christians and people of every political persuasion, every faith, every skin color, coming together to overturn what was the greatest evil known to mankind since the Holocaust. And that was the evil of segregation by law. De jure discrimination. A time when black Americans, particularly in the South, some places in the North, but mainly in the deep, deep South, were subjugated to the worst treatment any group of human beings could imagine. But thank God for courageous men and women like the great Dr. Martin Luther King of blessed memory, the great Ralph Abernathy of blessed memory, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel of blessed memory, and the list goes on, and in this meeting we don't have time to name all the names. But you get the picture. They came together and they said, enough is enough is enough. It is time to defeat this immorality and this evil. How can we call ourselves a nation that believes in God when we deliberately, with impunity, segregate and subjugate 1/3 of its citizens? I am pleased to stand here today with all of my brothers and sisters in this room, and I'm sure you would agree with me that America has come a long way. We no longer have the raw and naked, in-your-face bigotry and racism that crippled this nation a quarter of a century ago, because people of good courage stood up and said enough is enough. Unfortunately, today we have, to quote President George W. Bush, we have the soft bigotry of low expectation. The type of bigotry that says, okay, minority children, we're going to see to it that you remain in substandard schools. We're going to build these things called ghettos, and we're going to keep you down another way. My brothers and my sisters, I am pleased to work with my good friend Rabbi Israel. We have come together to form both CORE and the organization for parents of free choice and parents for free choice in education. And we have decided that it is time to turn up the hammer, to ratchet it up for school choice. And you know, our colleagues on the left don't understand what school choice means. They think that we are against the public schools. No, we're not against the public schools. All we're saying is, let's have a little competition. This is the free marketplace of ideas. There are some good public schools out there, but the overwhelming majority of them are failing our students. You know, I just a couple of weeks ago, I was out having dinner with a teacher. I won't go into that right away, but the long and short of it is, she said, you know, my biggest problem is trying to get my students to understand that it is okay to make subject and verb agree. that you're not acting white, quote unquote, if you speak the King's English. And this is something that we have to encourage our young people about. But in closing, I know that I only have about 3 to 5 minutes, and you know, after the meeting, you know, we can chit-chat all day if you want. But I will say this to my fellow Republicans, especially our national leadership. I've been a Republican for as long as I've been able to vote, because I believe in the principles of this grand old party. But I must say to you, my fellow Republicans, you have not reached out to the black conservatives the way you should. You have allowed the left to dictate the majority black opinion. You have allowed the left to steal the show. And I would like to encourage you, my brothers and sisters in the GOP, to press the national leadership. You know, and just in case there's anybody here that's on the left and you want to call me a house Tom for the conservative movement, I plead guilty. I plead guilty. Because guess what? If any of you read the novel, Uncle Tom's Cabin, Uncle Tom fought to free the slaves. So I plead guilty to be a mouthpiece for the conservative movement. I love you all. Thanks for this opportunity. Let's get to work for school choice. We can do it. We shall overcome. We shall overcome.